I think it's important to understand stories of how things go wrong, because that helps you understand how to keep them right. And this is still astoundingly relevant. I was struck yesterday as I was cruising through the headlines by a recent survey from Ernst & Young that many hard-pressed company bosses are so pressured for growth that they've resorted to cooking the books. And here are some statistics from this Ernst & Young study, that 1 in almost 5 of 3,500 staff quizzed in 36 countries in Europe, the Middle East, Africa, and India said they had seen financial manipulations in their companies in the last 12 months. And that 42% of board directors and top managers questioned in this survey said they were aware of some type of irregular financial reporting. And the guy who was the head of Ernst & Young's fraud investigation practices said, "Our survey shows that to find growth and improved performance in this environment, an alarming number appear to be comfortable with or aware of unethical conduct." So here we are almost 5 years after the financial crisis, and this sort of behavior in a world that's desperate for growth is still astonishingly relevant. Anyway, the big mark in my career as a journalist came in early 2001 when I wrote a skeptical story about Enron, and I've often joked that I think that my story should win awards or go down in history for the meekest title in history. It was, "Is Enron Overpriced?" I was going to title it, "Is Enron a Hedge Fund in Drag?" but I lost my nerve at the last minute. Anyway, when I started working on my book about Enron, I thought I had this revelation, which is that if something seems too good to be true, maybe it is. And you'll forgive me, I was young. I quickly realized this was a cliche. But I've actually come to believe that it really is this incredibly important lesson that unfortunately I think we'll never learn. And it pertains to Enron as well as the financial crisis, when our widespread belief in something that after the fact would clearly seem too good to be true, which is that subprime mortgages made to people who couldn't pay them back could be packaged up into securities safer than the credit of the United States used to be, this could somehow go on forever. And I think it leads me to an interesting point, which is that most stories of business gone wrong require in some ways the complicity of the victims, the belief of the great majority of people in something after the fact that is clearly going to seem too good to have been true. So I have a few lessons that I guess I've put together from my, almost 20 years now of writing stories about business gone wrong. I think the first one is pretty obvious, but it's just to be aware of an excessive focus on short-term results. Jeff Skilling, the CEO of Enron, used to tell people, "We are laser focused on earnings per share." And Enron itself would give a presentation every year to Wall Street analysts laying out a stock price target and why investors should believe in its stock price target. And just to give you a sense of how aggressive and ambitious this was, I think Enron stock was at around $60 or $70 a share, and the target that Enron was telling Wall Street was $126 per share. And, I was struck, and I shared this with people I spoke to at lunch earlier. I did a story on Warren Buffett for Vanity Fair a few years ago, and I got to spend 13 hours with him. And the thing that stands out to me the most from those 13 hours is he said that his biggest fear, his biggest concern was that Berkshire Hathaway, his company, was around 100 years from now. Like Allstate, it's an insurance company, and it has promises to pay people that stretch that far into the future. And he said, it's my obligation to make sure that this company is here in 100 years.